Today's podcast about unique partnership. If you're considering to get partner in your business, watch this because it's a very unique story where someone with experience working with someone new to the industry, they partner up in a really cool way and they're building this company and they go in places. But first, let me give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this podcast because we don't charge our guests to come to our studio because we have amazing partners.
Work Ninjas enhances your roofing business with services like customer service, virtual admin assistance, CRM management, commercial and residential estimating, production, billing, supplements, marketing, and more. Our model is straightforward. Flexible pricing, customizable to your needs.
When I knock on that door, something inside of me shifted, and I didn't feel like it was natural.
Benny was able to share some information that nobody else even brought up before, and the homeowner was just like, how did we not know this?
And I know that translates in my face. I have a terrible poker face.
They just want you to sign the contract, and then it's just continual upcharge.
I'll go back and forth. I'll argue. I'll say, I don't like this. Give me more of this, right?
There's benchmarks that they need to are running through the adjuster's mind, and if I don't hit those benchmarks first, then I can't tell you what to do.
Especially these days. I did not think about it.
If you don't do your homework, you don't know.
Here comes the teacher. I have to do homework. All right, guys, today I have very, very special podcast. Usually my guests are very, very successful, someone who built massive brands or they're influencers. But I also love having conversation with people who are just getting started. And today we're going to talk to two partners. It's their first year in business, and I guarantee you're going to get a lot of value of it just because of their story, how they got together, and what they think about the industry. They're starting in 2025. A lot of you are starting, or it's your first, second year in business. You're going to learn a lot. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
How was your flight?
It was good. Nice quick flight from Denver.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. We're going to hit the sauna and work out right after this. Don't mind my cats. Usually we'll lock them out, but they might come to you. She's very friendly. So it's your first year in business. What's your story? Tell me how you came about and what's your background.
I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So I've owned a construction company for about 30 years, primarily do remodeling work and everything. And I met Benny 7-8 years ago, my own roof in my own house. I knew the company, so I called them up and they sent Benny out and he basically took care of our roof. And since then, we stayed in touch and he's helped me out with other roofing projects within the remodeling company. And then we've stayed in touch, and the last year or so, I told him that, hey, I'm looking to expand a little bit. I've had a lot of unhappy customers with their roofing experience and a little bit of back and forth between Benny and I. And he's like, I'm kind of pigeonholed here where I'm at. I think I can add more value and I want more skin in the game. So after some back and forth, we decided to let's jump in together and, hey, Benny, do you want to lead the roofing division of the existing BRG company? And he was all on board with it. So that's kind of how we started.
So the name of your business is BRG?
BRG Builds.
BRG Builds.
Yes.
And the roofing company is just under BRG Builds Roof?
BRG Roofing.
BRG Roofing.
And then we're just keeping the BRG Builds just to continue from the legacy.
Two different websites?
One website. We've been working to optimize, organize everything. One of the things that was important to me to tell Jeff too was that when we started this other branch, to really make sure our presence is known. Now more than ever, people want to put you in Google, see the Facebook, your marketing, things like that. So we decided to just be consistent.
I'm going to give you one recommendation and I'll show you a case study. There's one company who've done it really well. They're actually in Michigan called Roach Company. You guys can look them up. So they have two websites. One is Roach Roofing and another one, I believe, is Roach Exteriors or Roach Builds or Construction or something. So one is like wider and another one just roofing. And what you can do, it's not a big investment. So we're talking about brgroofing.com and BRG Builds. But if you want more leads, if you want to be known for roofing and grow the division, you will be more successful. I did it with several businesses. I have ISDM company, for example, and I could add ISDM services to my roofing company. But when I separated, the amount of leads ISDEM company did was 10x than ISDEM's request to roofing company, because you are that expert, and especially Colorado is very competitive. But I like what you do, and like this is just friendly advice. And I've seen a lot of case studies in the market. You can have two different websites, and they can be very similar. Actually, the branding will be almost identical, but the Google will love that you have the roofing in your name and leads, and even for people. I'll show you. You will understand once you see it.
I appreciate it.
Fast forward. So what's your journey look like? So how did you, I love partnership, by the way. There's so many people coming to me, it's like, Dmitry, I don't know roofing, but I know business. What do I do? And my number one advice is, if you can find someone who knows roofing, you know the business, they know roofing, and you partner with them, like I've seen so many good partnerships in this business, and unfortunately there's a lot of bad ones, just like in marriage, right?
Sure.
How do, like, what kind of agreement do you have? Did you have a lawyer? Did you, usually I tell people, think about the exit when you enter, because it's not always roses, right?
I mean, I'll let Jeff kind of take the lead on this one as well, but that was one of the things he asked from the beginning. And I've heard in the past to do 49-51. Jeff said we should do 50-50, and we've always gotten along pretty well. We're aligned in our thinking. And I think, for me, I'm just very motivated with like just having systems in place, organization, and just been doing that. So I think we've aligned pretty well thus far.
So how has your teaching background shaped your business? Like, because I have a teaching background, I went to college to become a teacher. How is that helping you, or maybe not helping you?
So I taught for about 7 years. I have a master's in foreign language education, K through 12. And then I got a second master's in school administration, and I was a dean of students. And in the middle of all that, I, did as much as I could to be attached to schools, clubs, stuff like a Spanish club for fun, and as much as like getting like some suicide prevention groups at the high school. I was part of that build out for that chapter, and it's very important to me. And even now, we still give back to schools. Jeff has a foundation, the G-Force, that we now have partnered with BRG Builds and BRG Roofing, and it gives back direct to teachers, direct to the classroom. We give money back for every roof to a teacher, club, classroom, whatever it may be needed. And when I was a dean, it was, for me personally, it was not my role in the school that I quickly found out. It was in this, like teaching language, there was a little bit more life to it for me. And so the person who kind of told me about roofing and this kind of world, I'm like, I'm really not sure. And he was like, look, he's like, you'll be an anomaly in this business. He's like, not many guys are polished, not many guys can speak and articulate things that they're thinking in a way that's professional and, enough that the client understands. And so I kind of started with like, all right, what do we do? He's like, well, educate your client like you educated the kids. And I just took it and ran, and people really love it. Something for me is like when we're the third or fourth roofer, it's my favorite thing. Sorry,
does he has a teacher's heart?
Yeah.
So here's the thing about teachers. Teachers are always go underpaid in all countries. Russia, Colombia, nobody pays teachers what they truly earn, right? Like, doctors make doctors' money, lawyers make lawyers' money, but teachers make teachers' money. And, for what? For screaming and, doing the most important job on planet, teaching 20 kids, getting yelled at for, 6-8 hours a day. It's a hard job.
Yes.
How do you go from, giving to now? I get what you're saying, and I'm the same way. I'm teaching roofers now. Like 2 of my sisters, they're teachers back in Russia, and I always say, like, I have more students here in the United States, even though I'm a roofing space, but like roofing school. That's why I call it roofing school. Because right? But the thing is, we are givers, and it's very hard for us to teach and charge for your teaching. How did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, as a teacher, obviously, you do it because you love it. There was you can't fake teaching at 7:25 to a group of 18-year-olds who are like, do something in front of us. So for me, it was it came natural. The kids liked me. I wanted to make sure they all knew. I knew, what their sports they like, what kind of clothes they wear. I knew everything about them. Maybe I didn't get their names right away. That was my one thing I needed to work on harder. To get the names quicker, but I knew everything about every kid. and I always made them feel welcome. And I always, when you passed the threshold into my classroom, you knew there was love there. And the truth is, I do that when I walk into people's homes now. It's like their sanctuary sometimes.
People trust you. So you think building trust
100%.
helping you?
Yeah, and like again, sometimes when you give people as much information as they can to give them the opportunity to make a decision, not force a decision on them, it's incredible. And in this space, I think it's even more rare because people, if I'm the third roofer, fourth roofer, I don't care. And that's one of the things I told Jeff. I'm like, it's actually an advantage because then they get to see different types of companies. And then they say, wow, how's nobody told me that yet? And I was like, well, they wanted to hard sell you instead of teaching you. And that's
how common is it? How common is it in Colorado, in your space, in construction and in roofing? How common hard pressure sales? Do you see it a lot? Do you have big players who do it?
I hear it from clients. They want to get something signed, whether it's a contingency or some sort of document. And from what I've gathered, people aren't always as interested in that.
How different is roofing from construction, from the trades?
It's much different in, I think there's a lot more players in the game that work the hard seller area as opposed to the construction one where there's they just want you to sign the contract and then it's just continual upcharge. So I think that's one of the bigger ones there. And with roofing, there's a much narrower focus. Benny's still teaching me part of, how to do all the ordering and everything. And there's like 10 things only. You're in a remodeling project, your average roof job. A remodeling project can be 50 or 60 things that you're ordering and the job is constantly changing. Whereas the roof job, okay, we've got 25 squares and okay, you're most likely going to knock it out in a day, So that way too, it's easier to take jobs that are farther away. It can be a couple hours away, that's no problem. A little bit of an extra charge for the, installers and everything, but if you're on a project for 4 or 6 weeks, it's hard to travel that far every day and be competitive price-wise. So I think those are a couple of the bigger things.
You've built business mostly without door knocking. In Colorado, it's almost unheard of. Everybody's door knocks. How did you do that? How did you manage it?
Well, for me, I'm a terrible salesman, but I'm a great educator. And so I already knew when I knock on that door, something inside of me shifted. And I didn't feel like it was natural. It felt kind of forced. And I know that translates in my face. I have a terrible poker face. That's why my friends want me to play with them. So I donate money. And so I knew it from the beginning. I'm like, if I'm going to be effective in this space, I have to do something different, and it's true to me. And for me, it was mostly building relationships, getting out there, networking, meeting people who are willing to have me be their 5th, 6th, 7th roofer. And little by little, time over time, house after house, I think people gave me a chance to prove myself, and I did.
So what did you do, like as far as marketing goes? BNI groups, like
did how BNI. I founded a chapter in my hometown. Had a rare opportunity to do that. Founded the chapter. I was with them for about 3 years, and then I dabbled in a couple different networking groups like that. Volunteering at schools.
Did they actually bring you jobs?
It gave me more attention. So maybe somebody's parent was like, "Hey, look, my brother needed something," or some teacher referred me to another educator they knew at a different capacity. And so those helped a lot, and then it kind of just snowballed from there, honestly.
How do you train your team? Do you have sales reps now? Like, what kind of team do you have? How do you train them to inspect right away and like to get the most out of the lead that comes in?
So we have two guys now, and for me, again, I could be a little crazy, but being thorough is absolutely important. I'd rather them do 2 houses right in one day than get through 10 inspections halfway and can't answer simple questions that any homeowner should ask and should know as well. So for me, it's like I did classes that adjusters take to kind of get into their head and understand what are they looking for, when is it appropriate to move forward, versus telling a client to file a claim just because. And it's like, well, it doesn't work like that. There's certain criteria, there's benchmarks that they need to are running through the adjuster's mind. And if I don't hit those benchmarks first, then I can't tell you what to do. And so that's what we tell our guys. Like, look, just move slow to move fast. Let people make an informed decision. And sometimes that takes a little time. And so that's how we do it. I mean, right now, that's one of the things we are sharpening up is our training, so they're not riding in the truck with me for hours or on their own. And things like Company Cam help us a lot. They can tag me in photos. I can help them answer questions. I can see what they're doing and give them feedback. And I think our guys have done a great job, internalizing that.
Where in Colorado are you?
I live in Castle Rock.
Would you say it's oversaturated with the roofers,
Yes.
with the storm chasers?
Yes. And this specific year, there was almost like an uproar in the town, and people just had enough. And so myself and some other bigger roofers in town.
Explain that. What do you mean people have enough?
Well, I guess.
Like riots against storm chasers?
Well, so you get the town Facebook pages and people are like, complaining. I put no soliciting signs. I'm telling them I have a roofer, put a roofer sign on my lawn. And, other companies taking them off or,
it's so annoying.
Not telling them where they come from. And so people are like, well, where you come from? Where are you based out of? And so a lot of that ambiguity. So myself and some of the other roofers in town kind of got together, made a group. And so people know it's like, don't have to go with me, but all these guys are here. They live here. You'll run into them at the supermarket, that kind of thing. And there was a big shift this season into that thinking where people are not trusting it.
I want to ask our audience, guys, comment below if you think it's okay for the sales rep to knock at a door where it's obvious that people don't want you to knock. Like if there's no soliciting sign, no soliciting rug, like all of that stuff, right? Like because there's so many people out there who make it clear they don't want to, like they even will say, but I know the saying, like, you have to have, like you have to hear no's before you hear yes, and all of the hustle mentality. I'm just curious, how many people watching this channel thinking it's okay to knock at not soliciting doors, and how many people think it's not okay? Comment away, I read all of my comments, and we'll do the count of the split. What do you think? Like knock or not knock if it's obvious that people don't want you to knock?
I understand that, and it's even happened to my house. We don't have a sign of BRG Roofing on my lawn, but my wife will say, well, my husband's a roofer, and they'll still try to sell her and say, well, I can help him. It's just like, guys, like just,
How are you going to help me be a roofer?
Yeah. So it's a little comical, and she knows, she gets that part of the business. She's, we're trying not to be rude to people who do it. But
of course,
it's like, guys, please, like understand, like this is where we're at, and it's something where, and even in our town, you need a permit to solicit door to door, and that's one of the first things I ask people, especially the young guys. I'm like,
do people usually have permits, or do they go through this, or most people don't?
The ones that do their homework do. If you don't do your homework, you don't know.
Here comes the teacher. I have to do homework. Does industry relies on storm chasing in your area?
Yes. Yeah.
But not a lot of retail?
So we've been fortunate. I give opportunities to do retail. But I think for the most part, some people wait for the storm and then...
So people wait for the storm?
I believe so, yeah. From what I see online, at least. Yeah, we've been fortunate to stay busy. And even when I was before BRG, I got calls all the time. And anything in the winter usually just got pushed to the spring when the weather was more appropriate rather than a cold install.
Next question is a little tricky, but I want you to think about it. Like, are homeowners getting smarter or more confused about roofing?
The little that I see with it is I'm thinking they're more confused because there's more information out there. So I think they have the opportunity to learn a lot of new roofing lingo and stuff, but it might not necessarily apply to their job. Just the one we went to a few days ago. We were, third or fourth roofer there, and
Yep.
Benny was able to share some information that nobody else even brought up before, and the homeowner was just like flustered, saying, how did we not know this? They've been fighting with the insurance company for 4 or 5 years, but they didn't have all the information that they needed. So I think they're more flustered, and the more information that's out there is making them more confused, especially with all the ongoing changes with all the insurance companies and deductibles and that whole process too. So more confused.
What about insurance claims? Are they more, do you think homeowners are getting smarter and more confused about insurance claims?
I think for the most part, yes. It's changing. And as you know, it's an ever-evolving thing. And I think, my knack for learning through adjusters, through insurance agents.
But homeowners, are they getting more confused? Or
I think they're getting confused because they're getting misled.
misled?
And I think people
who is misleading them?
I think usually it's a contractor
Contract.
who is eager to get the work, telling them to file a claim when maybe they don't understand what it takes for the claim to actually come to fruition.
Labor shortages, tariffs are hot topics in the industry right now. Which one are you concerned? How is the Colorado affected by both tariffs? Well, tariffs probably we all feel price increases, but what about other stuff, political stuff that we see? ICE, deportations, labor shortages, any of that you've actually experienced?
No, thankfully not yet, and hopefully not at all.
No, I mean, in the remodeling end, it's definitely slowing down. I think that's more of a part of interest rates and everything. So there's actually, more people looking for work out there now. So that it's much easier to fill that void than it has been in years.
That's good to know, because that's the downside of slowing down, or upsides, like people looking for work. So great. Because I do see that industry is slowing down. I do see that demand is not there. So it's much harder to be in business. Competition is. Do you feel it too?
Absolutely.
How many roofers do you have in town? Do you know the number?
Probably a very, very large one.
Like,
I see it all the time.
how many people knock at one single door after the hailstorm? 20, 30, 50?
When we had the one in Castle Rock, some people were saying over 15, easy, that they
50.
remember.
They remember
And
in one day.
Yeah, and that's the thing about our town is it's very strong. So if you're from there, you know it. And so they'll call people like me and say, all these guys knocked on my door. I think I need a roof checked out. It's like, okay, great. I'm happy to help. That kind of deal.
So you have not seen the impact of immigration rates, not like California or Texas, I guess.
You see stuff on the news,
You see?
but nothing that has been in our sphere.
What about material increases, like on your side, on remodeling side?
Yeah.
So I know everything went up. I remember 5-6 years ago, drywall and lumber went up, but then it came back down. With the roofing, it never goes down.
Right.
So it keeps going up. What price increases do you see now?
From the remodeling end of it, everything has pretty much come back down to pre-COVID.
It did?
Within reason anyway. So it's not the astronomical pricing that it was, 4 or 5x on everything, So that's pretty much in the past for now. So
Why do you think roofing never comes down?
I don't know. I mean, insurance companies maybe. I'm not sure how that works.
It's not an insurance company, if you ask me. It's a game of its own. So manufacturers and suppliers, it's their own little corporate greed.
I think that's why when you get the increase letter, it's 8 letters coincidentally the same day.
Of course. So my question to you is, you love teaching. Why did you leave teaching for roofing?
That's a good question. I think becoming an administrator was one of the things that changed my perspective in the building. Being in your classroom all day is different than I was a dean of students. I was dealing with, kids getting in trouble, consequences. You're no longer aligned to the teacher sometimes. They see you as an administrator, not as a peer. And that was difficult for me because I liked that light. I liked being with my teachers. I like being in the world at that capacity. But in order to make more money, you have to climb the ladder. You only have so many days a week. If you're not teaching, grading, or planning, you have no time in the afternoons either if you're coaching or doing something. And so this opportunity for roofing came about pre-COVID, a couple months before it. And I did it part-time just to learn, see what it's about. And I knew it was going to afford me a lot of flexibility to be with my wife. She was pregnant at the time, so I knew I could be a more present dad because I could be at anything and shift schedules and things like that. And so once COVID hit, schools closed, and it was an opportunity for me to pivot. And that's kind of how I landed. I was like, I think this is going to be for me. And I saw the response to people when I was talking to them, and I thought it would be a good idea.
How did it help you being a teacher and all your background in the business? Because I see so many people now lead with, you don't need education, you don't need a college, and I agree, you don't always have to go to college, but I never met an educated person who said his education did not help him. You can be janitor, you can do even low-paying job, but that education will help you in life. Would you agree? And how did it help you?
I wholeheartedly agree. And to the effect that I know people even say, no, you don't need a master's in this unless you're going to be a doctor or something where it's a more in the thinking. But the truth is, like, almost impossible as it seemed to get a master's, let alone two, you learn to learn. Not everything I learned in doing that master's helped me be a better Spanish teacher, but it helped me to overcome almost anything. I really could learn anything I want because I know you put the time in, and that's what the higher education is. You learn to learn and be resilient.
Exactly. And then whatever trade you like, it's the same for me. Like, no matter what's in front of me, I can learn it. And you know what's funny? Today in AI world, you can see people educated and not educated using the AI, which AI is beautiful, but you can see not educated using it like just tip of the iceberg. They don't do research. They don't go back and forth. And educated people, they'll spend like for me, when I talk to ChatGPT, when I want to write an article or whatever, I'll go back and forth. I'll argue. I'll say, I don't like this. Give me more of this, right? I hate when ChatGPT tells me how good I am. Like, that's not what it is for. But you can tell who's using it and never actually went to college.
Right. Well, the prompts are an incredible power that I think is going to be, if not already, a gigantic shift. You could put resources in there, books to
But
reference
you have to know how to do it. So if
Right.
we want to go to college, if you have to like work on 40-page paper for like 7 days, you can do those things. And people just don't have attention span to
Right.
download something. Other day I did so I have 3 businesses, and I had to transfer money from business to business every once in a while. Like, and I've done it like over, I don't know, like 7-8 months, several times. And I did not want, so number one option that I had, like, reach out to your accountant, see how much did you transfer and which business owes which, right? And I'm like, do I want to bother him? So what I did is I downloaded bank statements, I send it to ChatGPT and say, hey, I have these 3 businesses and I made transfers from business to business. Tell me the balance, which business owes what. And it calculated, like, this business owes $78,000 to these 2 businesses.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, but it thought for it like for 3 or 4 minutes. It has to analyze the right. And I did not want to do it. But even downloading the statements and uploading and giving that prompt, it's still, let's say, 5 minutes of my time, 10 minutes. But a lot of people will not even go to that level of thinking.
Right. It actually, and pro tip to the roofers too, use it for your insurance estimates. When you have your final approvals, anything like that, it'll instead of stating they're going lines 1 through 8, 51 through 57, line 14, line blah, 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 and then you're sitting there calculating it, you could throw it in ChatGPT. Say, I need these line items. I didn't do X part of the trade. Take line items, blah, blah, blah out, set it up, organize it. And you just got that done in under 10 minutes instead of sitting there with a calculator using valuable time, just kind of deciphering them. So,
Do you use ChatGPT, and how do you use it?
I use it. I use it a lot more for maybe writing some papers or trying to learn answers to questions I don't know, how to figure things out that I don't know. And I might not have somebody in my speed dial that I can say, hey, can you help me with this? So it's like, okay, let's sit down and let's analyze it and let's, put it in there and see what we can learn. And we actually did a trip to France earlier this year, and that planned our entire itinerary for 2 weeks. And my wife and we drove around France. It found all of our lodging and where to rent a car and where to eat. And it was
ChatGPT did that for you?
Yeah. It took a little bit of time back and forth, but it basically put our whole trip together. It was great.
I recently did it. I did like BMI Direct. A few people bought underlayment from me in Wisconsin and Chicago, and I put addresses, and I'm like, calculate my, because I was confused. I'm looking at the map, and I can see that I can do this and this. Like, it's just like straight up and down. I'm like, they're so close, but it's like 30 minutes, but it's 5 hours away, but they're 30 minutes apart. And I'm like, calculate the most efficient way to make this 3 deliveries. And it gave me like, go to here first, here second, here third, and come back. I'm like, brilliant. Because
cool.
I could not figure out, even with like Google tools, which is pretty cool. Just, I told ChatGPT where I was and where I need to be. And it could be like 20-minute difference. Like if I would go to one address and then to another, it's not a big deal. But you're already in the car for 4 hours, extra 20 minutes, it adds up at that level.
Absolutely.
What do you miss or don't miss about the teaching?
I miss the kids. That was my favorite part, especially teaching for any capacity, but for me, languages. Seeing them come out there with some Spanish or culture, music, food. I mean, some people thought it was just conjugating verbs. Not everybody's good at that. But I miss that. I miss the inspiration in their face at 7:30 in the morning. And they're like, this guy's crazy if you're teaching me Spanish. And they come out there having a good time, learning stuff. I miss that little spark,
So my wife signed me up to become a soccer coach. She's like, can you coach? Like they're looking for soccer coaches. And I played soccer in college and university. I'm like, I can do it. I've done a lot of summer camps. So like I went to teacher training college and then university. So 5 years after my high school. And after each year in the summertime, I've done summer camps, Christian summer camps, regular summer camps. Then because you have to get like certain hours, and I'm talking about like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like full blown summer camp where you take like 30 guys and you just do something with them, right? So I was like since 16 to 22, like every summer I was around the kids. And fast forward, so I came to the United States 20 years ago. And this actually was a summer camp in Wisconsin, but I was a kitchen staff, but I still was around like through my university student exchange program. And this is the first time in 20 years I was around kids. So these boys, so we actually won first place. And I was assistant coach, but our coach, we became like really good friends. He did not make few games. So we won the championship, and like talking to 12, 13 boys every day, like I was responsible for snacks because they told us that assistant coach is responsible for snacks. Like every game, I bring this giant cooler with a Gatorades and bananas because of the like cramps. Like if you work out too much, right? I'm like, guys, eat those bananas, drink this, and they were so grateful for. And the coach was like, why do you keep doing it? And I went, so they teach you how to, like, it's my first year. So we have this meeting, and there's like full-blown power presentation. There's like 30 coaches, and it's a CDA, like championship, whatever. And they're like, assistant coach, they told me, told us in that presentation that the assistant coach is responsible for snacks. And I'm like, I'm responsible for snacks. Yeah. So he's like, that's for little kids. I don't get. I did not know. I didn't get the memo. But that's what you do. Like I have 5 kids. You go to the park. You want to make sure everybody's hydrated. So I get like electrolytes. I get like water. Anyway, the coolest thing ever. And I have 5 kids. I have 3 businesses. I have sales calls nonstop. But that's the highlight of my summer. Like seeing those guys for that 1 hour and playing and talking, and I have so many talk. It was so cool. I remember one kid, he comes in like so tired. I'm like, why? You're like barely moving. What's going on? And he told me like, I work 12-hour shift. I work from 7. Our game was at 7:30, super late. He worked 7 to 7 at the store. Wow. I'm like, who's working you at 7 to 7? He's like, honestly, barely could work. You could tell that this kid is tired, and he still came and he wanted to play. And like one guy came in. It was our almost last game. So he comes in. He's like, I have to leave. I have to go back to work. I have to clock out at 3:30. So I put alarm. So he comes off. So we put him in the first half, and he has to run. Like little things like that. But you talk to them, you inspire them, you take pictures. Like there's nothing like that in the world. If you never taught kids, you will never understand. No money can pay. Like it doesn't matter. You could be making like, I don't know, if you put 100 grand here and teaching kids here, I'm taking this. So very cool. So
it's pretty amazing.
What's the hardest thing of being a teacher?
Building the engagement. Kids are checked out. They're on the phone.
Especially these days. I did not think about it.
That part was thing overcoming because they're dealing with a lot of life that adults deal with, except it's in their pocket.
Yep.
So you want to have this, but they're worried about this because of a message, because of
Just to get their
trying to
initial.
get back to this person, or there's drama going on. That was a big part of it. That it's going to be a really uphill battle for here on in.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even think about. Yeah, unless you have like strict rules, like no devices, which I would support because
yeah,
like we adults sometimes don't need, the phones. We're like surrounded with like you have to have discipline to turn. Kids have no discipline.
it's really tough.
Adults don't have discipline.
Yeah, I saw it in the middle school a lot too. When I was a dean, 11 to 13. My thing to all the parents is get rid of that thing. It's gonna haunt them day and night. Their brain's developing so much. It's too much for an 11-year-old.
What's the most rewarding part of roofing on the other side? You like it now.
I'm
Because it's one-day job.
yeah, I'm learning all the intricacies of it, but from my perspective, like I touched on before, it's nice. The job is they're almost all a day long for the most part. Your average roof. So be there. Customers are always flabbergasted that the tear off is done by 9 a.m. They can't believe it. They're like, "Whoa, these guys are flying." And then you close out and you get done somewhere at the end of the day and get it all cleaned up and everything. And as long as there's no major hiccups, customers are really enjoyed to get it done so quick and cross that one off their list. So that's one thing I take out of it anyway.
Let's talk about roofing education. Who has taught you the most about success in the industry? Who do you follow? Who did you learn from?
One of the first things I did, like I said, you came up almost instantly. It's literally just typing in like education and roofing. So thank you. Podcasts. I know the Roofing Insights one, obviously, but like the Roofer Show. There's another one.
Adam Bensman.
Yeah, Adam Bensman, Roofing Success. The name just escaped me now. One of these guys that does marketing, Joe
Hughes.
Joe Hughes, being 5 Mile famous. People really don't understand that it's way more effective than to cast a net to the whole world. It's like, just do what you do good near you first, and then maybe go out. So things like that have been pivotal for me. Just hearing other guys, their stories. I'm really lucky. Guys in my dad's group in Castle Rock that have helped me learn and have put my name out there. And that was the biggest compliment I think you can get from a really successful company when you're starting.
100%. We're going to wrap it up. I have 4 short questions. You can answer quick and short, or you can expand. One thing every HOA board needs to hear.
The truth.
Truth. What is the truth?
The truth, I think, having as much data as they can, especially in an HOA, complex things that are big scale, it's a lot can fall under the cracks. But if you do it organized and in a systematic way, they really can understand what you're talking about.
Do people try to lie to them?
I think the opportunity is very big and people want it. So maybe even if it's not
Manipulate
volitional,
facts.
maybe that want maybe overarches the information.
The weirdest thing about roofing in Colorado.
How many there are there?
Roofing companies?
How many there are there? But the weirdest thing is how many people don't take the time to inform their client. Like I said, I like being the 4th guy there because then they realize who knows what they're talking about or who cares about them.
How important is the education and knowledge? Because so many salespeople say product knowledge does not matter. This does not matter.
So I'll take that one. I mean, I've said it for years for the remodeling end. The most important thing is to educate the client. If there's issues throughout a project, over 90% of them are going to be because there wasn't proper communication. So I think you really need to set the bar for that high right away, and you need to follow through on it. So I think that's huge.
What advice would you give to just starting company, brand new, starting tomorrow?
Move slow to move fast. Do things right the first time. Don't let little things shake you. Just be resilient. You'll be fine. Just do your homework.
That's the t-shirt for you. Do your homework. Last question for you. What should I see in France? What was the most amazing thing you've seen?
Normandy.
Normandy?
Yeah, Normandy was incredible. Normandy followed by Mont Blanc, which was fantastic, especially if you like the mountains and skiing. We weren't there during ski season, but Normandy first. I mean, the history, affected the whole world. So it's just impressive. So that's number one.
Awesome. Guys, comment away if you have any questions for me. I read all of my comments. Say something about this podcast for my guest today, and I'll see you in the next video.